Installing your chosen handlebars and stem. Many components on your Bullitt are customizable, and these components come in the C1B box. In here you will find your grips, stem, seat post clamp, saddle and head badge. For this video from this box you will only need the stem. You have chosen one of 4 Larry vs Harry stems: the MJ 45mm, the 50mm shorter stem, the 60mm regular stem, or the 90mm long stem. You have also chosen one of 4 handlebars: the MJ, which comes as standard on the EP801, the riser handlebar, the flat handlebar, or the cruiser handlebar. The EP801 comes with the MJ handlebar partly installed. If you've chosen an alternative, you will need to swap the brake levers, switch units, display and bell. If you've chosen the MJ, then of course you don't need to swap anything. But if you do need to swap components, it's easiest to install your chosen stem and handlebar first. The tools you need for installing any stem and handlebar are high performance grease, a rag, a 2.5mm hex key, a 3mm hex key, a 4mm hex key, a 6mm hex key if you have an MJ stem, a torque wrench with the relevant attachment sizes, a crosshead screwdriver size PH1, and a Di2 cable tool TL-EW300. Any other size won't work. The parts you will need are your chosen stem and your chosen handlebar. Adjust the Easy Up stem lifter to its maximum height and remove the bung and shim. Then take the stem and remove all the bolts with a 4mm hex key for the regular, short or long stem, or 6mm hex key for the MJ stem. Grease the bolts and screw the rear ones back in loosely. Place the shim inside the stem, aligning the gap in the shim with the gap in the stem. Then insert the rubber bung, taking note that it is asymmetrical. Hold the stem so it's as high as it can be, and making sure it's as forward facing as possible, and tighten with a torque wrench and 4 or 6mm hex key attachment to 6 Nm or 8 Nm for an MJ stem. You will adjust it later. Next, take your handlebar and place it centrally in the stem and secure it loosely in place with the remaining bolts in an X shape with a 4 or 6mm hex key. You want to still be able to turn the handlebar to orientate it. For the MJ handlebar, the cross is to centralize the bar from side to side. Turn it a little further and you can see some writing which should be visible through the top of the stem when you tighten it. As the components are already installed on this bar, all you need to do now is align them to your comfort. For the riser, the markings on the bar allow for easy centralizing. The handlebar is slightly curved. This curve should curve towards the rider, with the grip area being horizontal or a little steeper. For the flat bar, the handlebar is slightly curved. This curve should curve towards the rider, and the stem should sit centrally. The grip area should be horizontal or a little steeper. For the cruiser bar, the markings on the bar allow for easy centralizing, and the grip area should be horizontal or pointed slightly upwards. For all handlebars, the exact angle is personal preference and comfort. Once you have aligned your chosen handlebar, you can secure with a torque wrench and 4 or 6mm hex key attachment in an X shape to 6 Nm or 8 Nm for an MJ stem. With this in place, you can now align or install your brake levers, switch units, bell and display. For installing, we will show installing on the cruiser bar, but the process is the same for all handlebar types. First of all, take note of how the current handlebar is assembled, and when removing parts, lay them out in the correct order. It's easiest to have the bar resting horizontally. You can leave the bar hanging, but just be cautious of the bar scratching the frame. Firstly, remove the bell with a cross-headed screwdriver, size PH1, taking care not to damage any cables. Then, using the Di2 cable tool, gently remove all cables from the display and from the switch units. Take one side at a time. We recommend starting with the left-hand side. Loosen the brake lever with the 4mm hex key and slide it off the bars and allow it to hang gently so the paint of the bike is not scratched. Then, with a 3mm hex key, loosen and slide off the switch unit. Then slide the cable holder nearest the stem towards the next cable holder. This will relieve the tension of the cable and prevent damage. Then slide the cable holders and the cable off the bars. Repeat this process on the other side, making sure to lay the two sides well apart from each other, as the cable lengths and switch units are different for each side. Remove the display using a 3mm hex key and install it on your chosen handlebars on the right-hand side of the stem, angled to your preference. Tighten to 1 Nm with the 3mm hex key. Then place the cable holders, starting with the largest first, ensuring the cable runs through the grooves, but do not connect the cables yet. Then slide on the switch unit and brake lever. You may want to put the brake lever on before the switch unit, depending on your reach and hand size. This is personal preference, and you can test it out and easily switch them over at another time. At this point, it's a good idea to measure your grips against the handlebar to correctly place the brake lever and switch unit. They should have about a 5mm gap between each other, but this is also down to personal preference and comfort. When the preferred location has been found, angle the brake levers. When reaching for them, your arm, wrist and hand should stay straight rather than having to bend your hand or fingers up and down. Then tighten to 3 to 5 Nm with a torque wrench and a 4mm hex key attachment. Then angle the shift unit so you can easily reach the buttons. Your thumb should not ache when using the buttons. Then tighten until you feel resistance with the 3mm hex key. Evenly space the cable holders along the bar, then using the Di2 cable tool, connect them to the switch units. Ensure a slight curve in the cable from the switch unit, then connect them to the display. You can connect them in any of the holes. Repeat this process on the other side. You can now also connect the central cable attached to the brake hose. Finally, place the bell close to the switch unit and brake lever, ensuring it does not obstruct anything and no cables get damaged. Tighten with a crosshead screwdriver until it stays in place, but no tighter.